Morning all. Well, it's a vicious cold day to be prepping a wedding, but I've got a little over 2,000 stems to cut, and I thought you might like to come along for the ride. I've got a lovely big wedding to do this weekend, lots of installation type stuff, a gorgeous arch and all of that. So I'm just beginning to cut. It's Wednesday morning. And this might be a really useful clip for not only farmer florists who are thinking about doing wedding work, but also if you're looking for a wedding florist yourself or an events florist, then this might give you an idea of the kind of work that goes into the work that you're asking someone to do, and possibly why it's not cheap. Anyway, I've got my trolley down there, and my first top tip to you, ladies and gentlemen, is don't invest in a trolley which is too heavy for you to pull when it's full. So my trolley takes 8 buckets and I'm 5'2", but I'm fairly costaud, so I can pull it. Look, I'll show you. Just so you know, if you like, you can subscribe to my channel. Press the bell icon, we'll tell you when we've got more clips coming up. And if any of the tips and tricks I give you during this session are useful, you can always buy me a coffee, and the link is in my bio. This is a full trolley. Right, better get on. Now, I know I've said it before, but I'll just say it again. To get a little extra stem length with your tulip crop, dig each flower up. Top tip. So at the end of the first day's cutting, the barn looks like this. Lots of empty boxes because I ordered up new buckets. My old buckets all being very worn out, and the supermarket doesn't seem to be doing buckets anymore. Look at the colour. Look at those blush tulips. Anyway, masses of apple blossom. It's all coming along. So I'm about half cut, and I am going to cut the other half now, plus my ordinary work. You know, I have commissions that I have to also do. So weddings are important, but also the everyday commissions are important too. So I'm going to do those at the same time. This is the arch from Floral Fabrications, which we are going to dress for the church. It's all coming on. Yes, since you ask, I do make a list, and as I cut it, I write down, I cross out what I've cut, but I also have another list of what I actually cut. So this is what I need, but as I go round, I might be a bit opportunistic, depending if I've got a lot more of something, or that's the thing about using a local flower grower, is you don't ever quite know what you're going to get, but what you'll get is the very best there is. They won't let you go without something fabulous in the garden just because it wasn't officially ordered. Right, better get on. And then at the end of the day, after a great deal more cutting, some little extras, and still room for a few more, we're calling it a day, and I'm going to have a bath. I could cut another 350 stems. I might cut them early tomorrow morning. Flagging, I'm flagging. Right, do you want a quick tour of what I've got? Quick. Anything that's brightly coloured or not sort of pale and weddingy is not for the wedding. But I'll give you the list. Here we go. This one is Phacelia, Euphorbia, crab apple, down here, Physocarpus, snowball bush down here. More snowball bush. Cow parsley, white lilac, campion, lime. Is this one? That's lime. This one is hazel, oak. Moving on. Mint. This one, lots of mint. Field maple. This one. Hornbeam, looking gorgeous. And then we go up onto the table and we have masses of tulips, honesty, more tulips, crabapple, lots of crabapple, different kinds, more tulips, round we go, more tulips, lots of tulips, more honesty up there, the white one, camassia, bluebells, wild bluebells, I grow them especially for weddings. More honesty, more tulips, and that is what we have so far. And it's 6:45, the night before we start doing the floristry. So here we are starting making the meadow boxes, but we're making them in agri-wool in small trays because there is very little room in the aisle of the church. So here we are, very sophisticated filming here, holding the thing. What I do is always have a mirror in your studio because then you can hold the bouquet up and see if it's the right weight, the right movement, and make sure that it really works well. You know, given that the bride is about my height, but she's her water displacement is considerably less than mine, put it that way. So there is a bride's bouquet. I may pudge it later, but for the moment, I'm quite happy with it. So these jars are going to go in veg boxes and hang from the ceiling, and I hope be very, very stunning in the marquee. And look, here are the meadow arrangements, and haven't they come on a treat? So they're going to go either side of the choir in this little church. They're going to look absolutely stunning. And so then you make the bridesmaids posies, and they have to be dinky doos and not compete with the bride, but sort of similar. I have to say they're coming up a treat. Look at the first campion coming out. There's the campion, the little pink one. Very nice. Happy days. As you can see, we're being full high tech today with no microphones, and I'm just handheld filming because time is of the essence. And then what happens to these are going to be on planks hanging from the ceiling. The idea is that they sort of hang over the edge of the planks. So there's not very much on the top, but doesn't matter because you're not going to see them. And my friend Tessa Farrington, who's a very good florist, keeps having to lie on the floor underneath to make sure these are floppy enough. Aren't they great? So these are the big, tall, floppy posies, which are going to hang from the ceiling in veg boxes. Believe me. So Lorraine, who on Instagram is @Lorraine'sVeg and is a lovely helper, comes up to help me with weddings, has made this gorgeous little votive to go in front of the war memorial. And then there's this sort of heavier piece is going to go on the altar. That's just been gridded with tape. This has got no... Did you grid it, Lorraine?
I gridded that, yeah.
It's gridded. But we're not there yet. Oh, look. Is it a threat or a promise? That's going in the font, but I better put something in it before we put it. So one of the things about not using any chemicals in the buckets means that when you finish doing the floristry, you just pour the water onto your plants. And that way, you can water your pots outside the back door. Simple. Right, so this little number's going in the font, about a metre and a half high in twigs. There'll be a pudging tomorrow. I will cut another bucket of cow parsley just to kind of just freshen it all up in the morning. So there's the font. There we have 8 bridesmaids and buttonholes, little dinky buttonholes with apple blossom. And then there are jars for the bridesmaids' posies to go in once the ceremony is over and they're back at the reception. And then, so these posies are the ones that are going in the boxes and are going to hang from the ceiling. The spare kit is here because we've still got to do the arch tomorrow. We've got quite a lot of apple blossom for it. You see what wedding flowers are expensive? Look at the apple blossom. And then in amongst the barbecue charcoal, there are the tulips to go in the arch. And then here we have, this one is to go on the pedestal by the lectern. This one, made by Lorraine, is for the war memorial. This one's going on the altar. Here's the bride's bouquet. And then these ones you have to go at this angle because they are going to be hanging on boards. So although you can see your workings on the top, actually the bit you're interested in is whether they look lovely hanging down the side. And I'd say Tessa Farrington, who is a very good florist based in Somerset and Dorset, has done a great job. And then these are the meadows to go in the either side of the choir, just up the chancel step. And there is your little wedding, pretty much ready for installation tomorrow. Let's all go and have a cup of tea. Or shall we have something fizzier? A tea cake. Hello. The night before a wedding, I can never sleep. I lie in bed worrying that the flowers will die in the night and that we won't have any stock. But I think we'll be okay. It's always a huge relief when I come into the studio in the morning and they're all there, just fine. I think we've got enough stock to make the arch. There's been a huge frost in the night, which will have done damage, but not to this lot. Phew, look, the ladders are okay. I can hardly get around the studio, there's so many buckets. But I think everything has survived the night. What a relief. Sorry, I'm whispering because Lorraine stayed the night last night and she's coming with us to help set up today. It's going to be enough for my arch, isn't it? So I make the bridesmaids the day before. I put them in a little bit of water and then on the day I ribbon them and then they get put in a box like this for delivery. And it works very well. They stay in water then till the very last minute and come with instructions. I'm going to have to put it down so I can turn off the film. They look sweet in the boxes, like this. So here is the box of the bridesmaids' posies. They look fabulous, so I say it myself. And then the bride is in water as well. There she is, tucked in her own box with the buttonholes to one side. And a little note to say, have a lovely day and please look after the flowers in the following way. So then you shove as much as you possibly can into the van because it all holds itself up. So look, you put low buckets between tall buckets and they support each other. So I think we've got enough to do this arch, plus some of the things that are going into the church. I'm going to put the meadows in the back of the car. And there are the meadows in the back of the car. You see, it's all about the logistics. Looks like a flower shop in here. Time to take them all out again. When you get there, you have to find the place where the church has water. There's a very beautiful view. And look, just down here to the left, can you see the marquee where the reception's going to happen? So it's all very village here, and the birds are giving it a little bit of welly. And so we've just started doing the arch. Started with the hornbeam and moving on. So here we have the ancient church of St Lawrence's, Catlington, dressed for a wedding. And the bride family have done little posies to go on the windowsills all the way around. We have filled the font. The buttonholes are there waiting to be collected by the gentle people. And then this is the view you get. I just think if you've got to choose where you put your budget, go for large wow factor pieces. This beautiful, that I say it myself, tumbling meadow arrangement of tulips and lilac and snowball bush and hornbeam and apple blossom and honesty and quite a lot of things. It makes a really lovely focal piece by the pulpit there. And then we have these meadow arrangements so that most of the action happens on these chancel steps. There's my shadow. And they will frame the action. And then we have a lovely big piece on the altar because it also frames the action, plus it's good manners. So there you have it. That is the view down the church. And I think very sensibly, they're not having pew ends because it's quite a narrow aisle and it's a fiddle and expensive. So save your money. Oh, and there's a little tiny, Lorraine made a beautiful little thing to go in the Lady Chapel. And then we have little jars on all the windowsills all the way around with the candles. And this lovely big piece which reflects all the other work in the font. And then I'll show you the arch. Though I say it myself, really, the idea is that it looks like a wild corner of the garden. Do you think I've got there? Fresh petal confetti made with tulip petals. Fresh petal confetti is a great deal better and more useful than ordinary confetti because it doesn't blow away. It has a little weight to it. Soft, not going to smash anyone in the face, but it's so much nicer so that when you throw it, it actually comes down on the bride and groom. Top tip. So here is the arch finished. It's humming with bees. If I step back, you can see the whole thing. There. A little bench for someone to sit back and enjoy the view with. And hopefully you can't see any of our workings. The birds are fantastic. There are swallows nesting in the porch of the church. So we have to keep the curtains into the church closed so they don't go in there and make a mess. There we go. It is the reason it's worth having a farmer florist do your wedding flowers is because then they can be opportunistic with what's really good in the garden on the day. And what was really good in our garden on the day is crabapple blossom. Thank you, Nathan at Floral Fabrications, for having the clever idea to build this structure. There we go. Now we're packing up to go to the marquee. Look at the empty studio, suddenly all echoey again. Goodness, we know how to make a mess. So let's go and see how the marquee's getting on. I might just do still photographs because they've got these strings of fairy lights. It's Abbas Marquees. It's absolutely fantastic. Very, very high end. The people you should look at in this clip afterwards, the suppliers, I will put them all in the blurb because it's really, really worth it. If you're looking for wedding suppliers in this area, the very best of the very best are involved in this session, in this event today. So anyway, we'll ping over to the marquee and see how that's going. Meanwhile, if you're enjoying all of this, please do subscribe to the channel. Press the bell icon and we'll tell you when we've got new clips coming up. And if you have enjoyed any of the tips or tricks we've given you along the way, you can always buy me a coffee, and the link is in the blurb to all my clips and also to my whole channel. Anyway, come on, let's go look at the marquee. Right, warning now, a little bit of flashing light. So if you don't like a flashing light, switch off. So look, here we have the hanging planks with the flowers hanging off them. Very, very attractive, though I say it myself. It looks as though the lights are flickering, but they're not. It's just the way the film's working. And they will raise these. This is Abbas Marquees in Somersetshire. They are very, very five-star marquee people and well worth the money for sheer efficiency and kit. And then the lovely clients made posies yesterday. They've gone all the way up the tables. Very pretty. And whatever's left went into the marquee, went into the church. And then we have Wow Factor made by our Lorraine of these veg boxes with blossom and lilac and bits and pieces flopping over. And I have to say, I think it's a really lovely thing. If I step back, you'll get the view. With probably filming for YouTube is you have to film sideways, and it means you don't get enough of a perspective. But anyway, that sort of shows you. There you are.